You're right, game one here, the question is going to be whether or not Michael can stick an Ensnaring Bridge onto the board. Meddling Mage is a great card to have against Lantern here, but you have to mage 2 cards. You need to mage the Ensnaring Bridge, and you need to mage Whir of Invention, as he can get the bridge onto play that way.
Right, another big factor here for Shawn, there are no main deck Kessig Malcontents.
That matters a ton.
That can be your way to break through the bridge.
Codex Shredder off the basic island to start for Michael.
Noble Hierarch still plays.
Yeah, that's the third part. So Noble Hierarch plays. So Pyrite Spellbomb recurring is what has to eventually stop that.
Right.
Now, one of the things that's strong about the Lantern deck with Whir is that Whir, even these one-ofs, like the one of Pyrite Spellbomb, Whir of Invention gives you additional the ability to make it seem like you have additional copies.
Right.
We will see Inquisition of Kozilek here, second turn from Michael. We see Noble Hierarch, Aether Vial, Mantis Rider, Champion of the Parish, and Thalia's Lieutenant. Shawn was on a 6-card hand here.
Yep. Yeah, no second land, but there is that second Vial. His hand's a bit slow, and I'm not seeing the creatures that he needs to break up the Lantern control deck.
No, Pixis is played by Michael, and you actually see a lot of... It would be uncommon for other decks to Inquisition away a Noble Hierarch against a 2 Aether Vial hand. That's really because of that Ensnaring Bridge interaction that Michael took it.
Yeah, that 0 power creature can actually be a problem.
Yeah. Shawn, no more lands, so he's going to be using Aether Vials for all these. Michael looked at his top card with the Bauble and then shredded it with Codex Shredder. Did not want to draw another Inquisition.
Remembered his Bauble trigger and was rewarded by drawing 2 Baubles for turn.
2 cards in hand and we pass. Looks like Witchbane Orb, the one of in the main deck, has been drawn by Michael.
Not a matchup where you're going to see that one really matter too much.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it stops Kite Sail freebooters, but if we're at that point, we're probably already doing well.
Right, yeah, if you orb before you bridge, and you just have bridge in your hand for some reason.
Champion of the Parish from Shawn vialed in, and now Thalia vialed in. So pump the champion up to a 2-2. The one main deck orb actually is one of the reasons that the Whir deck got a lot better. There are some this was a pretty narrow card that was harder to play in the main deck before Whir of Invention, but now that you can find it, it really helps Lantern's Burn matchup. It helped its Valakut matchup.
I have played against Lantern many times with Snapcaster Mage Lightning Bolt decks, and yeah, that card ends up making interesting games, just lights out in favor of the Lantern player.
2 mana Thoughtseize from Michael. He sees Reflector Mage, Thalia's Lieutenant, Mantis Rider.
So Reflector Mage is clearly the worst card in the hand.
Right.
Lieutenant is good already for 3 pumps, 2 on the Champion of the Parish, 1 on the Thalia. So it's pretty comparable to the Mantis Rider. Right. Vials are going up to 2 and 3 as well. So I guess the question really pertains to what 2 creatures can be assembled next turn, and
I like
there's a lot of 2s in the deck.
Well, I like this from Michael because Shawn now is left with a 3 and a 3 in his hand as opposed to a 2 and a 3. So his Vials don't, like, if you take in the Mantis Rider, Shawn could dump the whole hand here, and now he has to hold back one.
Yeah, given the cards already available, both of those cards can't be vialed in. That makes sense.
Regardless, we see Whir of Invention from Michael. He is so close. He would like a land or a 0 mana artifact. Because of Thalia, he needs 7 to Whir for that bridge.
Yep.
Swing from Shawn. We'll see how many turns Michael has to do it. And what did he draw? He's at 8, so I think that Ancient Stirrings he picked up isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, there's already 8 damage on the other side of the table. You have to get Bridge online right now. Minimally Pyrite Spellbomb and activating it on the Thalia.
Yeah, well, Michael was so close. When he Inquisitioned the first turn, there wasn't Thalia there. And if Thalia hadn't shown up, Michael would have made Bridge in time. But now he's scraping, and I think he's just going to be a turn short.
That's looking like it. There is a Bridge in this Stirrings, but the Stirrings cost 2 mana, and the Bridge not going to be castable.
Picks them up. There's no way to do it. Shawn Dhaliwal wins game 1.
And Dhaliwal has some help in the sideboard as well when we get into that.
Yeah, that's kind of start is one where it's hard on the Lantern side. You hate to see that one go. but really just fell a turn short. So tell me a bit about the sideboard. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we have 2 Auric Champions, 2 Gaddock Teagues, 2 Static Casters, 2 Reclamation Sage, 2 Sin Collectors, a Damping Sphere, a Dismember, a Gut Shot, a Kataki War's Wage, and a Riders of Gavany.
There's a lot here.
So we talk about slam dunks, the 2 Reclamation Sage and the Kataki War's Wage. These cards are just excellent in this matchup.
Yeah, they're going to demand answers. Well, the Kataki demands an answer, and the Reclamation Stage is pretty good too.
Right. Then you have some stuff that has some play against War of Invention. You know, Gaddock Teague is fine. Sin Collector is fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing either of those come in. I think Gaddock Teague's a little more appealing just because it's 2 mana.
Yeah.
There are some things, there are Reflector Mages that need replacing, and that should be pretty easy.
Yep.
Shawn certainly will upgrade here. On Michael's side, he has 2 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Tezzeret, 2 Welding Jars. He has a Ancient Grudge, a Damping Sphere, a Fountain of Renewal, Nature's Claim, Pyroclasm, 1 Psy Master Thopterist, 1 Search for Azcanta, a Sorceress Spyglass, and a Surgical Extraction. Sideboarding with Lantern is a very interesting thing to have to do.
Yeah, you are seeing some of the power of War of Invention with a little bit of mix of stuff you can tutor for, 1s and 2s. If you know about Reclamation Sage, that makes Welling Jar a little bit inviting, despite the fact that it doesn't play against a lot of what's in the other side. The Pyroclasm catches most of the creatures that you care about before they get pumped, so I think that one is going to be the most obvious card to bring in here. Psy Master Thopterist is a new one. So it makes a 1/1 Thopter token every time you cast a historic spell. Or I guess it's just an artifact. It's from Corset. It's not from Dominaria. Making the chump blockers can be a factor in this matchup. It's not an artifact. I don't really know if it's necessarily the plan. I think mostly we're looking at this Pyroclasm.
Pyroclasm seems good. Before Psy was in these decks, you would see Girper Aether Grids in the sideboard of Lantern, which typically would have come in this matchup.
Yeah.
Now, they're not here, so this plan is going to be a bit different.
Yeah, Psy figures to be quite a bit worse.
Yeah, I would think it is here. And that could make things harder for Michael in this matchup. If he's going for more removal, things like Pyroclasm, we may see the 1 Search for Azcanta come in just as a way to kind of play removal and find that ensnaring bridge. But
sure.
He's largely on the same plan here. I don't think Tezzeret works out in this matchup. He still would get overpowered.
Right. Yeah, Tezzeret was kind of technology adapted for matchups where your plan just doesn't work and you have to go fast. Largely Tron will be where you try to Tezzeret them.
It is the Hail Mary you throw in the Tron matchup. It's usually dropped.
Well, you miss
or deflected or whatever.
Miss 100% of the shots you don't take or whatever. It's cool when it works. That's an awesome card.
Yeah.
I've cast a lot of Tezzeret Agent of Boluses.
Seen Grixis Cube?
Yes. Yeah, there's a very heavy artifacts matter theme.
Nice. Tezzeret actually it's one of those other planeswalkers that on power level is playable all the way up through Legacy. In Legacy, we'll see Jace the Mind Sculptor, we'll see Gideon Ally of Zendikar, we'll see Liliana of the Veil, and now Teferi. But I feel like Tezzeret also is on the same power level as them. Now, there's a lot of boxes you have to check to put them in your deck.
Yeah, Tezzeret shows up in these weird non-brainstorm blue decks that play Soul Lands and Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
When they do their thing, they're pretty brutal.
And players are good, both on 7s for game number 2. We start with Spire, Mox Opal, Lantern of Insights from Michael. A Vial and a Bauble on top. Shawn will draw Aether Vial. And it looks like we have a red card there in the opener for Michael. And a Stirrings and a Codex Shredder. So this is actually a great start with Lantern and Shredder.
Yep, can already start controlling the draws of one player.
Yeah. He'd love to have a card that looks at Shawn's hand so he knows what to mill. Against humans, you can go for blocks in a couple different ways.
Right, yeah. Still no information on the opening 7. He knows about a Vial and now an Ancient Ziggurat on top. Not really useful information.
Right, the Vial cast. And Michael draws Bauble. Top card is Spire. Plays Bauble. Going to cast Ancient Stirrings. So you don't have to show the top 5. You're just looking at them. And you don't get to see the one beneath it until you pick.
Yep. And the cards are still technically on top of the library.
Exactly. He will select Pyrite Spellbomb, put that in hand. Now the top card of his deck should be revealed. We'll go ahead and make sure that happens. It's a Pixis of Pandemonium. And we have Codex Shredder and Pyrite Spellbomb. So we have a Lantern. We have one shredding effect. Pixis is going to make a second one. Michael's got the control of the game going right now.
Yep. Pyrite Spellbomb, pretty good in the matchup. A lot of the ways that Shawn's going to try to disrupt Michael are just 2 toughness creatures.
Yep.
Until there's a bridge online, though, you might start seeing a really aggressive start from Shawn. He's untapping. He'll have a second Mana Source and Ether Vial on 1. Can present a couple threats on this turn.
Yeah, Shawn can still just attack here. All those artifacts are just a bunch of do-nothings until a bridge ties it together. Meddling Mage and Champion of the Parish. So now we get our first look at Meddling Mage. Michael does have a Pirate Spellbomb in play, so this is not a back-breaking play. And he'll set the first Mage to Ensnaring Bridge.
Despite seeing Pixis of Pandemonium right on top of Michael's library. Yeah, just names the best card in the matchup. Ooh, and that was a bridge, I think, right under it?
That was.
Good name.
Now, there is a red card. If it's Pyroclasm, and I think it is,
That's
this doesn't
brutal.
matter.
That is brutal.
Back to Michael we go. Casts Pixis of Pandemonium. 2 mana Pyroclasm. Both creatures are down. Now, I believe Shawn has a backup Meddling Mage.
If he can pair it with a Thalia's Lieutenant using this Vial onto, then he can evade the Pyrite Spellbomb as Michael is currently tapped off of red mana.
Yeah, that's true. Then Michael would have to find a Whir of Invention to get a bridge into play, and it's a lot harder to do.
If he can't do that, though, that Meddling Mage is not going to amount to much.
Top card's Mantis Rider. Don't think Michael will shred that one. Or Pixis it, rather. Either.
Yeah, with life totals at 20, he can take a couple hits.
And Shawn's actually has a lot going on. He's going to make Champion of the Parish here. Looks like we also have a Reclamation Sage in hand.
That's a good one to have.
Might be Noble Hierarch, so I'll hold off on calling that for sure.
That's a worse one to have.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's a Hierarch. So Champion will pump up to a 2/2. And Shawn passes. Yeah, his remaining 2 cards are Horizon Canopy and Meddling Mage. Michael will use Codex Shredder on himself. There's a Thoughtseize. I'll see if he actually wants Thoughtseize. It's a show of strength on Michael's side that he does. What he wants, the reason here is he wants to look at Shawn's hand. And during draw, Shawn's going to activate that Aether Vial. Gets Meddling Mage down to pump Champ. So name's Ensnaring Bridge. Thoughtseize for Michael down to 18. You'll see Horizon Canopy.
Yep, we knew about that one.
And this is still just a heads-up thing. Michael just wanted Thoughtseize because he just wanted to look at Shawn's hand.
Yeah, he didn't know about the Meddling Mage previously. That could have been something like a Reclamation Sage.
Sure. And he'll pass. 1 card left. Can take some damage. Mantis Rider looks like it's going to be the draw, and Michael is going to let him have that. He's setting up right now for end-step Pyrite Spellbomb to shoot Mage, untap, make Bridge. It's going to let Shawn draw the Mantis Rider. This looks like it will work.
Looks like there was some thinking in the upkeep.
Top card's Horizon Canopy. That might be worth a mill from Michael's side. Giving your opponent a lot of instant speed card draw here is not ideal.
Right, and because he has Hierarch, those 2 Ziggurats can't activate canopies, but the Unclaimed Territory plus the Noble Hierarch means that if he had both of those, it'd be 2 ways to draw a card at instant speed.
Here is Mantis Rider. It'll pump up Champion of the Parish. So we are looking at a swing for a possible 9 damage.
That's fully half of Michael's life total.
Yeah, and he'll take the full amount. Pixis both players. Both players will exile the top card face down.
It's like Shawn's going to keep track of the ones that Michael exiled. You may as well. Sometimes they activate Pixis, and not very often, but it does have a 7-mana ability.
And Pyrite Spellbomb will take care of Meddling Mage. Phantasmal Image is a bit of a concern here, as it represents a second Noble Hierarch. Spellbomb will be used. In response, Shawn tried to draw Phantasmal Image. Michael milled it with Codex Shredder. So what will he get to draw? Well, he's going to get another Noble Hierarch anyway. Michael, very concerned about that. He's thinking about sacrificing the Lantern of Insight to shuffle it.
Yikes.
And I have to say, I understand. If he doesn't, the way he would normally deal with this is he Codex Shredder back a Pirate Spellbomb to shoot a Noble Hierarch, but then there's 2 of them again. This is a tough spot for Preminger. He's at 8.
And not to mention that he's going to need a bit more mana to make that happen. Just 3 mana available. It costs 5 to activate the Shredder. He only has so much time.
Right. And Mike says, can he untap now? Draws that island. That's a Lantern. Going to make Ensnaring Bridge. But he's still set up to take 2 damage per turn off these Hierarchs. Like I said, normally the way you'd see this out, this managed is Ensnaring, is a Gear per Aether Grid, but Michael doesn't play those.
Yep.
So he's going to be going for...
He already has Pyroclasm in his graveyard.
Okay.
So if he gets up to 5 mana, he can shred that back, Pyroclasm the next turn.
It goes down to 6. And that's not too far away. If he can mill himself into another land, that's enough.
Right.
And that's likely what he'll go for. So here's Pixis. There's a Glimmer Void. I think he'll want to keep that.
Yep. And because he found it in 1, he still has a little bit of control over Shawn's next draw step, which will be good for him. Should be pretty likely that this Pyroclasm does a good job of cleaning up the game. And Ancient Ziggurat on top for Shawn, that's not going to do anything.
So Michael draws Glimmer Void, makes Glimmer Void. His top card is Welding Jar, and he'll pass. Now, Welding Jar will give him some extra security over the next couple turns. So now Shawn's just drawing lands. He hits Michael down to 4, but this Shredder into Clasm should be able to clean things up. Land and pass. Sacrifice Shredder, get back Pyroclasm.
Really amusing the way that Pyroclasm kills what are traditionally the worst 2 creatures that Shawn controls, but the only ones that actually matter in this match.
And now Michael has a lock. He just has 1 Mill Rock for the time being. So there's still a possibility if Shawn has 2 live cards in a row that he gets something, but that's all it's going to work. And in Michael's spot, you have to just say how fast he wants, aggressively he even wants to mill himself. He'd like to find a second Mill Rock.
Yep.
He didn't find it here. I doubt he's going to, he'll just draw the Inquisition. He wants to make sure that a Pixis is on top, that a Pixis is untapped in case something is drawn that needs to be controlled.
Right. And there's the Shredder on top already.
Yep.
Even previously, he still kind of had the Lantern as a safety valve. I think he's pretty much locked this one up. I don't think there's any getting out of this for Shawn.
He's going to shred away the Meddling Mage. You see Whir of Invention is Michael's next draw as well. And that's just going to make things keep getting better.
Yeah.
Draws Whir. It's going to shred away that Gaddock Teague. And we're likely just going to see Whir for another Shredder at this point. Mm-hmm. There might be a better card to get. We'll see. Doesn't look like it. I think X is 1.
He already has Welding Jar to go with his Ensnaring Bridge. That's pretty well covered. You don't really need more bridge effects. This last Mill Rock, if it wasn't already locked up, it certainly is now.
Yep, 3 Mill Rocks and a Lantern is enough for Shawn, and he'll pick up his cards. We go to Game 3. If you're new to the Lantern deck, Michael's eventual win condition would just be to mill Shawn out of the game.
Mm-hmm. And what you see here, Shawn correctly concedes in this spot. I actually really adore the Lantern control deck. It gets some stigma because, it takes forever to win. Like, no, it doesn't. You just have to know when you're actually dead. There's still 30 minutes on the clock, and they've played 2 games.
Yeah.
The gameplay is actually pretty quick if both players know what's going on.
Yeah, the interactive part of the game doesn't take unreasonably long. I think it's a fine spot to be at, as you saw there.
Right, yeah. The actual part of the game that matters isn't the, oh, what are your top 3 cards? I have 3 Codex Shredders, a Lantern, and a Bridge. You're not even playing Magic anymore at that point.
Exactly.
The part that matters were the early Pyroclasm, the Pyrite Spellbomb, and the Meddling Mage. That was the game of Magic that was played. Shawn failed to present the combination of Thalia's Lieutenant, Meddling Mage to get it up to 3 toughness in time, and Michael was able to wrap it up.
So we'll look at a third game. Shawn will be back on the play. We kind of saw it. That's going to be the Lantern formula there, is to get to a bridge, somehow get to Ensnaring Bridge, past Meddling Mages, and then once you get the bridge down, clean up those few remaining outs, and then everything's taken care of.
Yep. Yeah, it's basically deterministic. Once you get enough mill rocks in play, your opponent is not going to win the game.
Just coming by, and during this last round, we have our metagame breakdown for day 2. That one's live on our coverage page. It's 67 players, so a small day 2 crowd. The top decks making it into day 2. We have 8 Celestial Colonnade decks. 6 are on Azorius, just 2 on Jeskai. We have 10 players on humans, but the most popular deck, this doesn't surprise me, 11 of our players on day 2 are on Burn.
Wow. Burn still got it.
Yeah, I expected humans. Certainly expected a Colonnade. Burn in some number, but maybe not in this number. This is a lot.
It is quite a lot, but if you kind of look at the other decks we're seeing on the day 2, humans, Azorius Control, Bant Spirits, Storm, these are all decks that Burn has an even to favorable matchup against.
That's true. Bant Spirits is an interesting one. 5 copies of it in day 2. It's our 4th most popular deck. That is a big upgrade for that archetype.
Yeah, it's a deck that's been seeing some results lately, but, the first couple times a deck starts showing up in the top 8, it's 1 copy. Next week it gets another endorsement from a stronger player, and in time, and that's where we're at with Bant Spirits now, a bunch of players start picking it up. I know one of our day 2 competitors here is Cat Light, an open finalist with the deck.
Yeah, I actually do really like where the metagame is right now. We have 22 different decks coming in with just 1 copy into day 2. That's a full third of the field. So Michael Preminger, for example, is our only Lantern player here on day 2.
I believe that. Yeah, it's been a while since we've covered Lantern Control.
Yeah, Michael Egolf, our only Hollow 1 player. We only have 1 Tron player. I know that one's got some to make people sad.
Yeah, both Hollow 1 and Tron. These are low representations. Hey, there's an 8-rack player.
Oh, I'm still alive.
Modern's great.
Wizards, we got one of those in day 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Our Grixis Control player from yesterday is into day 2.
I liked that deck.
A lot of good ones here. Sultai Midrange making it.
Ooh, I'd like to see that list. Sultai is a deck that, in Modern, it always seems like it has enough good cards, but there's just never been a good Sultai deck. Just really hasn't played out.
Here's some Jeskai Through the Breach.
All right.
All right. I like that.
That's the second best Through the Breach deck. Third best
Third
Through
best?
the Breach. Yeah, third best Through the Breach deck in Modern.
We have the second best one here.
Yeah, we
too.
have Goryo's Vengeance showing up as well.
Yeah, we have all 3. We also have Titan Breach.
All right, all 3 of the Goryo's Through the Breach decks are represented.
We can argue as to which one is the best. But they all are.
Yeah. Goryo's Vengeance or Titan Breach. One of those is the best.
It's not Jeskai?
We know that Jeskai Reach is the least good of all of them. That much is established.
We have a Blue Moon deck here. We could, in theory, have all 4. I don't think that one. They don't usually do that anymore since Jace happened. But.
Yeah. Sometimes they do. They also play the Kiki Jiki combo sometimes. Also Madcap Experiment.
Yeah,
sometimes.
they play a thing that does something.
There's just like a bunch of plays. There's no combo, or there's 3 different kinds of combos you can play.
Game 3 here though on a round 11 match. Shawn on the place. Michael mulliganing to 6, scrying to the bottom. Though sometimes when you're on these fast Ensnaring Bridge starts, mulliganing actually can help you out. We'll see if this is one of those.
Geez, there's a lot of spells.
Yeah, Welding Jar, Mox Opal, Glimmer Void, Codex Shredder, Inquisition. So Michael's going to go ahead and take the Thalia. He leaves Shawn with Champion of the Parish, Thalia's Lieutenant, and 2 Phantasmal Images.
If Shawn draws a land, this is a pretty aggressive hand, though missing on that Thalia is that's the one thing that he had that interacts with Ensnaring Bridge. So his draw step, he kind of wants a land. He really would like a freebooter or a meddling mage, though.
Yeah, especially with that Mox Opal, he could be caught by even a turn 2 ensnaring bridge on Michael's side.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the face of ensnaring bridge, you might see something like Phantasmal Image my Noble Hierarch twice, and we're still kind of playing a game.
Yeah.
Looks like the pickup was a land.
Okay, so here's Champion the Parish, and now has 2 drops. He has the option, he has 2 Phantasmal Images and a Thalia's Lieutenant, I believe.
If he's going to respect the bridge already showing up, he can just start by imaging the Noble Hierarch, or this is kind of the more common line, just throw out the Thalia's Lieutenant.
Yeah. Well, the danger here is he actually has made his Noble Hierarch into a 1/2 now, which has made the card a lot worse in the matchup.
Right. It still serves as a Hierarch if you produce more Hierarchs.
Right.
But, you know, that one copy won't be able to attack through a bridge.
We see Lantern Shredder as the play from Michael.
Right. No bridge just yet.
No, he's empty-handed. He's got a Lantern and 2 Shredders, and you got to think he's just going to be shredding himself until he finds that bridge or the Whir.
Yep.
The Whir, though.
Yeah, he can't Whir. He has Academy Runes and 2 blue sources.
This is something when the Lantern deck switched over to Whir, they started cutting all the utility lands because of this problem. And you see in Michael's deck this there's 1 Academy Runes, 1 Inventor's Fair, and every other land makes blue mana. It's unfortunate here that he has found one of those 2 colorless lands.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he has to just draw this Dark Slick Shore so that he has more live draws for a bridge. I guess you got to do the combat math here. We see an image copying the Lieutenant. Yeah, like how much of a clock are we on? He can just use the Hierarch if he really wants to be aggressive. Lieutenant again.
I don't think, Ryan, Michael has a turn to draw that Dark Slick Shore based on what's happening right here. We have a 7/7 and a 5. This is a 12-point attack this turn.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he certainly can't draw that Shores given this.
He's at 8. Shred. He's trying to find a Snaring Bridge. That's not it. Shred again. He gets a couple more tries to do it. Upkeep. Shred the Bauble. Codex Shredder. Shred that. Is it a bridge? No.
You got to use the Lantern to shuffle here.
Yep. Last chance. Use Lantern to shuffle.
And if he finds the bridge, Shawn's in a spot where he doesn't have a 0-power creature because the Hierarch's so big, and he spent the images. So the bridge should be good here if he finds it. He's lost his Lantern, which becomes an issue.
At some point, yeah. I mean, but right now this is a knocking the top of the deck situation. If he hits the bridge, he's a pretty good favorite.
Right. We are on bridge or bust, though.
Yeah. I mean, he got rid of the Lantern. I mean, he has Academy Ruins. So if he finds it, 2 turns away, he has one again.
Yeah.
But you see him, it's like, you want to shuffle? Sean says, yeah, let's do this.
Why would I not shuffle?
It's one of the game hinges right here.
Right.
And we're going to sneeze. So, and it's Whir's no good. It's just a Snaring Bridge. Does he hit? It's Glimmer Void. He does not. Shawn Dhaliwal takes the win 2-1 over Michael Preminger.
And yeah, this you kind of see why we